reaching beyond the borders into the unknown. Welcome to Paranormal Investigations of Oklahoma.
Hey, how's it going, everyone? This is Kale Epperson, and you have tuned in to Paranormal Investigations of Oklahoma. Wow, it's 2015. This is my first podcast of this year. If you guys get a chance, subscribe to me on YouTube, follow me on Facebook, and I've just recently got on board with Daily Motion. If you are reviewing some of my podcasts on Daily Motion, just give me a little time to get my episodes uploaded. Currently, as this podcast is being recorded, I've got 15 episodes out, so this will be episode 16. If you're finding my vids on Daily Motion, you notice that I don't have a lot on there yet. Just kind of keep in mind, it takes all day to upload a video sometimes. My podcasts run between 30 to 50 minutes, and it takes all day, and it all depends on how the Wi-Fi is working. As long as my computer doesn't crash or there's a glitch in the system that causes a delay. But just kind of be patient with it. I got on board with Daily Motion, and it's not a promotion for them or nothing. I just wanted everyone to know the reason why I also moved on to Daily Motion as well as YouTube is because Daily Motion has a big paranormal group that's on there. I see a lot of groups and a lot of podcast shows on Daily Motion. And I figured, hey, if my audience likes me on YouTube, I'm sure they're going to like me on Daily Motion as well. It's going to be a little extra work to do both pages, but hey, that's great. You know, as long as I get this information out there to you, I feel like my audience should be able to tune in either way. Now, as a reminder, you know, YouTube or Daily Motion or Facebook, they do not pay me to do podcasts. This is just an amateur podcast show, and for me, it's just for fun. It's for entertainment. It's for educational purposes and research purposes for people who are out in the paranormal field. One thing to keep in mind, you know, when I do these podcast shows, it's not affiliated with any paranormal groups. A lot of people, they may tune in and they may recognize me for being part of a paranormal group, but just keep in mind with these shows, it has nothing to do with any paranormal groups. If I have guests on the show, they do it for voluntary purposes, okay, everyone? It's all non-profit. No one's getting paid. They're just volunteering their time to be on the show to share any information, and that's what I'm doing. I'm just volunteering my time. YouTube, Facebook, Daily Motion, they don't pay us anything to do this. So I just want to kind of get this information out there to you. I just enjoy podcasting. It just gives me something to do. But yeah, 2015 is here, ladies and gentlemen. I decided on this episode to stay old school. And you're probably wondering why. I know if you checked out my last two videos, it's actually like a TV show type thing where I'm standing in front of a camera. Now, it's something I've been testing out in the field. I'm wanting to do more stuff like that. I want to get out there and kind of show you different things out in the field. With video, it's just easier to say, hey, I got this new piece of equipment, and this is what it looks like, and this is what it does. And that's kind of hard when you're trying to do it over the radio, because you can hear me, but you can't see me. I will get more video stuff out there. I just decided, since this was the first episode of the 2015 series, I just kind of decided I'm going to stay old school with it. Just basic radio broadcasting, okay, guys? But I tell you what, I'm so excited to get back into the field again. November and December, I really didn't get to do a lot because I was working so much. But 2015's here. Everything's getting back to normal. I went on my very first investigation of the year this past Sunday. I went out with a couple of colleagues in the field, and we went to a I want to call it an abandoned location, but technically it's owned by somebody. It's just a building that's not in use. It's a large 3-story building. And I'm not going to get in great detail where this location is. All that's confidential. But I had a great time. I got to test out my new track camera, or my trail camera. I had it all hooked up. Got several photographs. Unfortunately, with all those photographs, there's nothing paranormal in there. I did have one photograph. Something tripped the sensor, but there's nothing in the photograph. I'm not saying it's paranormal. It could be just a glitch with the camera, or some critter or something may have been crawling about and set it off, or some type of movement. But all in all, I think it was a good test. I can't wait to use the track camera more out in the field. It's got a very long battery life. I had that thing running for several hours and the batteries are still good on it, so I'm very excited about that. It's got a lot of memory space. When I did my test, it was for it to just take photographs. I could have had it set for video, but I just kind of stuck with just taking pictures. I was very excited when I used it though, because when you bring up the photos later up on your computer, it's got the date, the time when the photograph was taken. It's even got the freaking moon phases. That's freaking awesome. And with this track camera, what's so sweet about it, it could take daytime or nighttime shots. With the infrared, it was great. One thing I noticed though with the infrared is, like, if I walk directly in front of it, when the infrared goes off, it kind of blinds out the camera. So that's just something to keep in mind when I use that thing, is make sure the investigator's not too close to it, to at least keep their distance from it. We didn't get a lot of activity. We did hear some voices, and it sounded like someone having a conversation, but it was pretty quiet. Haven't got a chance to go over the recorders yet to see if there's anything on there that's significant, but all of it could have been just residual stuff we were hearing. We could have swore we heard either a door opening or a door closing, but the main purpose for the investigation was just kind of scout out the location, to kind of get our bearings. You get to a lot of places that are just freaking huge, so when you go in, you can get lost very easily or turned around very easily because you're just not used to the location, especially if it's got several different floors. So it was more like a reconnaissance scouting mission to get our bearings down, drop a couple recorders, carry a recorder with us, take a bunch of pictures. We didn't pull out a spirit box or obuluses or any technical stuff. We stayed old school, photographs and recorders. Spent several hours there and then just wrapped it up. I tell you what, it was a cold night. We had a thermal. I think it said it was 35 degrees. I think it was 35. But it was really cold. I have to admit, we were freezing. I had layers of clothes on, let's just put it that way. But out in the field, I just kind of discovered, and this is one thing I'm going to show later on a different podcast, is when I went in, I'm carrying a bag and I got my gear with me. I'm trying to take photographs, I'm trying to hold my flashlight and trying to hold my recorder. I kept dropping stuff, and there's nothing worse when you're going out investigating and you're dropping your equipment, because you could break it. I was very upset because I dropped my recorder a couple times and I ended up losing some data because of it, and it really made me mad. And it's my fault. I admit it's my fault for dropping it, for carrying too much crud in my hands. I know they make gear out there I could probably get. They make what they call the vests. You could buy these pocket vests you can buy at the ghost hunter stores. They're not very classy looking. I don't think I'm going to buy one of those. I think that it's a little too much. But one thing I did buy, I just got to thinking, like, wow, there's got to be something that I could strap to my arm or to my hand to carry a recorder without actually holding it, but it's just strapped to me somewhere. And I don't want to drop the recorder in my pocket because I don't want the sound muffled. I happened to be at the mall at one of these cell phone places. They actually have something you can strap to your arm where you can put your cell phone in it, and it's made for if you're running or jogging and you have headphones on. Well, most people that jog wear sweatpants and stuff, so you don't have pockets. So this device Velcros around your arm and your phone sticks in there, run with your headphones on. And I got to thinking, you know what, that'd be great to drop a digital recorder there. That way the microphone's still sticking out and you strap it to your arm and forget it. That way you can roam around without this recorder being in your hand. I learned when you got a digital recorder inside your hand that with your fingers just moving on the side of it, it makes one of these noises. Okay? And that noise there is now being made for me just rubbing the microphone here. But it's the same way when it works with the digital recorder, because your fingers are running up the side of the recorder, and even though you don't hear it, that microphone is picking it up. So, with testing out this recorder, I dropped it in there, I strapped it to my upper arm, and I can walk around with that thing, and it's not rubbing against nothing, and I can still pick up EVPs and other noises. So just a kind of an idea, if you get tired of carrying stuff like that, that's one thing, strap it to your arm. A lot of other ghost hunters, they're buying these flashlights that are on headbands, and they strap it to their foreheads. Now, it doesn't look very stylish, but that's another idea to keep stuff, out of your hands. I think it would be great for me, though, if I could have the recorder up high on my arm. I can still carry a flashlight with one hand and still take pictures with the other. But, do what you feel is comfortable for you when you're out ghost hunting. I don't wear hats out in the field, and the only reason is if I take pictures, and if I get a shadow, or I see something, and if it's an apparition, and it may look like it has a hat on, I can debunk that it's not me just because I'm not wearing a hat. So, but that's your personal preference when you go ghost hunting, whatever your paranormal team is. Do what you feel like is comfortable. So if you want to go out and buy one of these ghost hunter vests with all the pockets, go for it. Technically, when you're out ghost hunting, you're not really trying to impress anybody, You're out there to gather data, gather information. I know a lot of top people in the paranormal field that wear the vests. And if that's something they want to do, go for it. Yeah, when I go shopping, it sounds funny though, but I always look out for things that could be used as trigger items out in the field. And I happened to be by the mall at one of these novelty stores that sells the plasma balls. And I'm looking at the plasma balls, and apparently the plasma balls have changed just a little bit. The plasma ball that I have, that I use for ghost hunting as a trigger item, you can leave it on and it sparks, putting out EMF, or you can hit this demo mode and you have to actually physically touch it to get it to go off. Well, apparently with the new plasma balls they have, when you put it into audio mode, any sound can trip it off. And I find that very discouraging as a trigger item, and reason being is if you get it set up somewhere with a camera on it, any little noise could trip it off. I'd rather have the plasma ball where you have to physically touch it to get it to go off. So just kind of keep that in mind if you're looking for trigger items. If you're looking at plasma balls, I would try to get the plasma balls where you have to touch it to get it to go off. Don't get the kind that's the sound. Now, if you do get the ones with the sound, that's your personal preference. Just kind of test it out in the field and see how that works. If it works for you, great. Leave a comment down below on my YouTube channel or Daily Motion channel and let me know how that works. I haven't tested the newer plasma balls. I just got an older one. But if you get any positive results, just let me know. Just comment below. Another thing I came up with is a teddy bear that can hold an EMF meter. I know a lot of you have been online, and I know you can get these teddy bears that has the built-in EMF meters in them. And these little EMF bears, they got little lights on their hands, on their feet, on their belly and ears. So any EMF, it kind of works like a REM pod. Any little electromagnetic field that affects it, the little bear will go off. Of course, guess what? They want a lot of money for these bears. And I'm thinking to myself, like, there's got to be an easier way making this type of trigger item without spending a lot of money. Well, I went out and I bought a cheap little teddy bear I bought for like 20 bucks. And I actually put a pocket on the front of the bear where I could slide in a K2 meter or a ghost meter. And it kind of works as the same principle, that the theory is if the ghost gets near it, it should be able to trip off the K2 or trip off the ghost meter. Now, you don't have to sew a pocket into it. I guess you could always get a cheap teddy bear and just lay the meter next to it. But you got to keep in mind when it comes to K2 meters and ghost meters, you know, you can't really use that as evidence of ghosts. Just kind of keep in mind it's an experience. I kind of learned with the equipment, there's been a lot of just controversy over it. A lot of teams now, they're just staying old school. Just cameras and recorders. There's been so much debate over ghost meters, K2 meters, how they can be faked, how anytime they go off, it could be anything that's setting them off, which is true. I don't know. It just kind of, it aggravates me. Because I still like using this equipment out in the field, but with all the controversy, you just don't want to use it anymore. I don't know, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, I tell you what, it's you're always trying to find new things to kind of help you find out if the phenomena of ghosts is real or not. So you may find some new type of equipment to use, and it does get a little aggravating when you discover that, oh crap, I can't use this anymore, because any fluctuation could trip it off. Now, I'm not telling you not to go out and buy this stuff. Just remember, when you're buying equipment, like a K2 meter or a ghost meter, it's just made to detect any electromagnetic fields. So if I got a K2 meter, I will probably just use it just to sweep the room with, just to see if there's any EMF. And after that, I probably won't use it the rest of the night. Now, if I'm wanting to test my trigger item teddy bear, I may lay the K2 meter on it. But if it goes off, it doesn't mean a ghost is doing it. It could be just random EMF. Now, when I go out on my investigations, I don't have my phone on. We really try hard to control the environment. We try to control it as best we can, but you know, it's hard. It's hard to control the environment. If you're in a building, you know, you're investigating someone's business or their home. If their Wi-Fi is going, that's going to mess with your meters. Electrical boxes will mess with their meters. I guess that's kind of why people were steering away from that type of equipment, because you can't get positive results with it. I don't know. it does get aggravating, because you're like, I got this whole big bag of equipment. It's stocked with meters and all this jazz, and all you can really use for evidence is recordings and photographs. I mean, what's your belief on it? Do you think all this ghost hunting equipment is useful? Is it not useful? My thinking is you got to test stuff out in the field. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I know when it comes with paranormal groups, everyone's got their own theories, their own beliefs about ghosts. I've worked with different teams before, and everybody has different beliefs. Some of their stuff is similar on their beliefs. There is kind of not really a code. There's a list of things that they really stick to, but others are different. It's all your interpretation, folks. When I do these podcasts, I give you my opinion, but I got to give you other opinions too. And some people may be listening to this and be like, oh, Kale, you don't make no sense whatsoever. You know that's not how it's supposed to work out in the paranormal field. I know that. I was trained differently. But when I do these podcast shows, I can be open to both sides. Spiritual teams, scientific teams, everyone's got their different theories. So somebody may come onto the show with a totally different theory than what you have. Don't get upset about it. You know, don't listen to the episode and go, man, that person is guest host. They don't know what the heck they're talking about. Well, that may be true. Maybe they don't. But maybe they do. You know, it's all to your interpretation. When you get on to like Facebook pages, blog pages, get online like Google and stuff and look up different ghost hunter teams. you'll notice some of their stuff is similar and some of it's different. But keep in mind, in the paranormal field, when it comes with ghost hunting, things can change overnight. Theories can change overnight. I may speak about one thing on the air on one episode, and then 5 episodes later, I may be talking about something totally different. Something may change. Something has changed. And you don't know. You just don't know. The joys of ghost hunting, folks. I always try to keep my mind open. Most of the time when I do research, and if I study other groups, most of their stuff, I'm looking at it and going, no, this is not going to work. For either this reason, that reason, or the other reason. Or I may find something and say, hey, I might want to try that. That's something different. And I'll test it out in the field. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. My recommendation, always, 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 keep an open mind. I'm kind of a sci-fi buff. Ever since I was a kid, I would sit down, I would watch all these TV shows about ghosts, Bigfoot, and aliens, and that stuff just draws me in. I want to know if it's real or not. The biggest deal is I've never witnessed Bigfoot before, but just because I haven't witnessed it doesn't mean that some type of creature like that does not exist or does exist. The alien phenomena? No, I've never seen an alien before, but stuff like that has always intrigued me. Now, in most of my podcast shows, I don't talk about aliens or Bigfoot. You know, I'm mainly focused in on the ghost hunting aspect of it, but I do find it interesting. If you're into, like, the aliens, what's cool about aliens is that they already got these large theories of humanoid aliens, reptilian aliens, the Greys. Yeah, I find that stuff freaking awesome. I don't know if it's true or not. I mean, look back at television with TV shows that dealt with space and aliens. All that derived from something that happened back in the 50s or the 40s. Is the phenomena real or not? I don't know. I don't know if aliens are real or not. What about Bigfoot? I have personally never had an experience with Bigfoot. I had a couple of family members that claimed that they saw Bigfoot. I don't know if it's true or not. But here's the deal. There is a possibility that a weird creature like that may exist. There's different Bigfoot groups out there, and they do research like the ghost hunters do. Now, I think with a lot of the Bigfoot people, they don't debunk as well as ghost hunters do. But with the Bigfoot groups, you know, they have castings of footprints. They're trying to get it down to a science where they like find trees that they can claim, hey, Bigfoot is scratched up on this. They may have found a quote-unquote Bigfoot nest. And somehow how the twigs are laid, they have gathered certain evidence trying to show that's how a Bigfoot would make these nests. You know, I'm not a Bigfoot enthusiast. I don't know much about Bigfoot. I've just studied it just a little bit. But these guys and gals that go out in the woods all night long or even during the day, drive long distances to find this creature, that's amazing. Absolutely amazing. That's pretty wild. I think one day I'd like to go on a Bigfoot investigation just to see how they do it. It's just crazy. I watched one episode on a TV show where these guys are, you know, they had recorded claimed Bigfoot noises and they were playing it and getting responses back. Now for me, I'm not someone that works with wildlife. You know, it's a possibility maybe these noises, you know, they may not have been Bigfoot. It could have been some wild animal. But my thinking is, if I'm going to be a Bigfoot investigator, I would probably want to do research in the wildlife field on different animals. Because I've heard stories where these guys say, hey, I got Bigfoot hair. You know, here's my evidence. It's Bigfoot hair. And then they send it off to get it analyzed, and it comes back to be bear fur, rabbit fur, some other critter's fur. And that kind of kills your case if you're hunting for Bigfoot. So I don't know. I want to say if you're a Bigfoot enthusiast, I would think they'd probably debunk more. Now, maybe they do. Like I said, I'm not really big into Bigfoot investigations. It's just kind of the thought of, I don't know, do they debunk? Now, if you're listening to this podcast show and you are into Bigfoot, leave a comment down below. Leave a statement down below. Let me know your opinions on Bigfoot. Send me some links, some research on Bigfoot. Say, hey, Kale, actually they do debunk. Hey, show that to me, Like I said, I'm not saying that they do or they don't. I'm not an expert when it comes with the Bigfoot phenomena. And it's the same way with the alien phenomena. I'm not really big into it. But there's groups out there that do that. My main focus is on ghosts and other paranormal activity. But this is not going to be a very long podcast. I'm just going to kind of leave it around 30 minutes here. It was more just to get back in touch with the audience again. I really didn't have a main topic to discuss. It was just mainly just kind of sit down and just kind of lean back and just conversation with the audience here for a little bit. I know a lot of people are just kind of hoping like, oh, I was hoping you had a big topic to discuss, but this was more of, just starting the year off. I'm going to go ahead and sign off here. Like I said, when you get a chance, subscribe to my YouTube channel, like me on Facebook. Hey, dig me up on Daily Motion. I just got on the Daily Motion, so find me there, follow me there, and I'll talk to you guys next time.